Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And I am super excited to share with you today these 3 fun projects, very springy projects, featuring the Timeless Tulips Bundle from the Stampin' Up! January to June mini catalog. Now let me show you where you can find this in the catalog. It is on page 43. Okay, so this is the spread in the catalog. The bundle includes a stamp set and the Tulip Builder Punch. Now this is a great bundle. It's really economically priced. It's priced at $42.25 here in Canada. So when you purchase the stamp set and the punch together, you get a 10% discount on the price of the two. Okay, so that's where you find it in the catalog. I'm going to show you up close and personal what the stamp set looks like. So it is here. We have lots of different tulip images. We've got 3 different leaves, 2 stems, and 3 different sized tulips. We're going to use all of those today. And then we also have several sentiments. Now, I love when a stamp set includes both images and sentiments. I find it much more versatile, and it's really, really helpful to have multiples. I'm just trying to bring up my video here on my iPad so I can see your comments. There it is. Hi, Heather. Hi, Debbie. How you doing? So that's the stamp set. And then this is the Tulip Builder Punch. I'm not sure how well that shows with the glare from the lights, but that is it. And again, we're going to use both of these today in our projects. So let's make some space here and we're going to get right to it. We're going to start with this one today. So this is just a really simple, pretty, happy card. I'm all about happy cards these days. Hi, Debbie. How are you guys doing? Hope you are okay down there in Virginia. So this is one that I wanted to give you a couple of tips for using the Tulip Builder Punch. We're actually going to start by stamping some leaves first of all. So here I have got some goop on that one. You know what? Let's grab another one of these. I've got more of them sitting right here. There we go. That one's cleaner. Don't know what's all over that one, but we'll use this one. Okay, so this is a stitched rectangle cut from Whisper White cardstock. I think it's like the 3rd largest one using the stitched rectangles dies. Now, when you're making this card, you want to make sure you stamp your stems first, okay? It's much easier to do that. And then add your flowers. Actually, no, I lied. We're going to do our flowers first. It's all right. I'm okay. We're going to do our flowers first because then we know where to put our stems. Yes, that's what we're going to do. All right. So keeping in mind, we're going to have 3 tulips that are popped up. We're going to go ahead and stamp a couple of the smaller tulips using Poppy Parade ink. Okay. So I'm just going to add a couple here. It is totally all right for them to go off the edge of the page. It is not a problem at all. And now we're going to add our stems. So I'm going to bring in some Granny Apple Green. And I'm going to first of all connect these guys that I've just stamped to stems. And then we're going to add some extra stems for our punched and popped tulips. So this is the curved stem. Now the cool thing about this is you could use it both directions, right? So if you want it to curve the other way, you just flip the stamp around and it'll curve the other way. Kind of cool. Debbie, yes, we are. We're not under quarantine. We're in social isolation. So my husband had still been going to work. However, just found out today that his work is now closing for the next couple of weeks. So all our schools are closed. So I am home and we're all just kind of hanging out together here. One big, well, somewhat happy family. Of course, we'd all wish we were not in this situation, but we are safe and we are all healthy, so we are very thankful for that. So I'm using now the straight stem to add a couple more stems. So I'm adding 3 more stems to put my punch tulips on. And then I'm going to fill in some leaves. So there are 3 different leaves in this set. I'm going to use a couple of them and just add these in. Hi, Jen. I'm glad you guys are staying healthy, Debbie. It is a scary time in the world, but we are very thankful that we live where we live and that we are all safe and warm and we have enough food. And yeah, there are a lot of people in the world who can't say that right now. So we are very blessed where we are. So we're thankful for that. Okay, so I've stamped a bunch of leaves. I've added my extra stems. So we're going to set this aside for a few minutes, and we're going to bring in our large tulip and stamp and punch so that we can pop some up. So when you are working with any kind of builder punch, this is my little tip for you. You want to work with a strip, okay? Because if you stamp on a large piece of cardstock and you only want to punch out the flower, when you go to stamp or when you go to punch, you're going to lose, you're going to waste cardstock, right? So I'm going to stamp my tulips and I'm going to kind of work across and use this strip and not waste cardstock, okay? So I'm going to bring back my Poppy Parade. And I'm going to get rid of this bit of glitter that is on my stamp because that will show up when I stamp it. And I'm going to work my way across. So I need 3 of these guys. So 1, isn't that a pretty image? I love the shading and the detail in these tulip stamps. They're very pretty. And 3. Okay, just like that. Then I'm going to bring in my punch and I'm going to work from left to right. So I'm going to line up my, oh, one of Max's friends is calling him on his iPad, which I have right now. Oh, well. They'll have to just chat later. Hi, Nancy. How are you? Hi, Jen. I'm waiting for Max's friends to give up so I can get my iPad back. Right now, I'm getting a FaceTime call. Good thing I'm not recording this with my iPad or you all would not be seeing me right now. All right, so here we go. We're punching one more. So these are really easy to line up. But you see why I am working with the strip, right? And I'm working from left to right because the leaf now is punching part that it's already waste, right? So I'm not wasting cardstock that way. Okay, so we'll get rid of these little scrappies. And now, before actually I glue this on, I'm gonna layer it on a piece of basic black. So this is cut 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch? Yes, larger than the white stitch rectangle. I don't have a grid here, so I can't tell you the exact dimensions. I will put them in the description of the video after I'm done, okay? So we are going to layer that. So I'm gonna just put a bit of Tombow on the back of my white stitch rectangle. And, oh, hi Nancy. Oh, you're in Myrtle Beach. How are things in Myrtle Beach? I'm betting it's not overly busy on the beach there. I'm hoping it's not these days. We here are pretty much, well, we're not in lockdown, but we are very, very much discouraged from leaving the house. So we are not going too far. All right, I need my dimensionals. Where are they? There they are. I'm going to add, whoop, I got 2 for 1 there. I'm going to add 1 more just so that that lies nice and flat. And we're going to pop this guy down here. And then I'm going to add 1 up here. I'm actually going to put it a little bit lower than I had originally stamped it. And we're going to add our 3rd one. So we'll pop this guy here. I don't want it quite as high as I did my stem, so we'll kind of put that like that. And then we're going to add 1 more. Get rid of our backings. And add this guy right there. Okay, cute little, whoop, I stuck one of my tulips to my grid paper. Okay, all right, now I'm going to take and stamp my sentiment. I'm just going to do a simple hello. This is a sentiment that is from the Timeless Tulip set. And I am sending lots of cards out these days. I have lots of people that I know that need a little encouragement. So I am sending at least 10 cards a day. And my goal is to keep doing it until all of this is over. So I thought another hello card would be a really helpful thing to have right now. So I'm inking this up with some Memento black ink. And I'm stamping my hello just in that upper left corner. Okay. All right, now I have a little bit of ribbon here, and I've already tied this. This was actually a leftover kit from a team meeting that I held back in January, but I thought this would be a cute card to show you guys. So I have already tied my ribbon. This, as I said, was left over from another event, so I'm just going to add a glue dot to my knot, and I'm going to press that sort of centered on my little rectangle here. Okay, and then I'm going to take the ends and add a glue dot, oopsie, come on, and wrap them around like that. Okay, Thanks, Nancy Jo. I'm glad you like it. I am loving this tulip set so much that I'm actually going to do 2 videos this week, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm going to just angle this a little bit less. It was a little bit of a sharp angle there. There we go. Isn't that cute? I love this organdy glitter ribbon. Okay, so now we are going to finish putting this bad boy together. So here I have a piece of DSP. Now this is actually, do you know what pack this is from? This is from the Sia Silhouette DSP. Hey Deb, how are ya? Dusting of snow, eh? We had a little bit of snow yesterday. Actually, we had a fair bit of snow yesterday, but it all melted. So I was happy about that. I'm glad you guys are doing well too, Debbie. That is good. It makes me happy. So I have this piece of Sia Silhouette DSP, and I have embossed it using the Scripty embossing folder. So it gives just a really subtle bit of texture. I really like the sort of watercolor look of this. I think it works really well with the poppy images. Okay, I think it's a nice background for that. So before I glue that on, I'm actually going to layer it. So this is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, 4 by 5 1/4. This black piece is cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so that when I layer it, I get a nice little black border all the way around. So again, I'm going to use a bit of Tombow. No, I'm not out of fast fuse yet. I still have some. I'm just being very, very stingy with it. All right, so we're going to pop this on just like that. And then we're ready to add this. Okay, it's going to go on just like that. Actually, I'm going to use a bit of fast fuse for this just because of the ribbon. The nice thing about fast fuse is you can roll right over your ribbon and it sticks to it, right? So it just, you don't have to worry about the glue not sticking to the ribbon and then the ribbon not sticking to the card and all of that stuff. One of the many, many reasons I like fast fuse. Okay, so we are going to center this both side to side and top and bottom. Okay, now that guy may be sticking out a little bit too far, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I could always reposition it later. All right, and then we're going to glue it onto a white card base. So this is Thick Whisper white cardstock. It is 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and it's scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll fold in half along our score line. Find my bone folder here. And add a bit of fast fuse to this guy. And we're going to pop this right onto the front of our card, just like that. Okay, there's a cute little card. Yeah, that guy has to get moved. I will move him later. He's sticking out just a little too far. You do understand why that's a problem, right? Because when I put this in the envelope, it's going to get bent, okay? Hi, Kelly. How are ya? How are you guys making out during all of this craziness? All right, now, of course, my last touch here is to add just a hint of Wink of Stella to my popped tulips. Now, I don't want to use too much because the Wink is going to smudge and smear that ink, okay? So I'm going really lightly and just adding a little hint of sparkle to my tulips, okay? Just a little bit of shimmer. All right, that is number 1 done. Quick and easy, right? Okay, we're going to get that out of the way. And we're going to bring in number 2. Let me put these somewhere that I'm not going to forget where I put them when I'm looking for them later. Okay, let me get some stuff out of the way. We don't need this. We don't need this. Okay, I think we're good. All right, next one we're going to make. Where did I put my samples? There they are. Oh my goodness, I am discombobulated today. Okay, we are going to make this pretty card. I want to do something a little bit different. I love yellow tulips. They are my favorite. If I had to choose, yellow tulips just make me happy. So I'm going to show you, this is actually a little bit more involved than it looks. At face value, it looks quite simple, but there's a few steps to this. So I'm going to show you what I did. So I'm going to start with a piece of, this is the Pressed Petals DSP. Oh, thanks for sharing, Nancy Jo. It is cut to 4 by 4 1/4. So 4 by 4 1/4, okay? Now, you'll notice on my sample that it kind of looks a little bit faded and whitewashed. So to do that, we are going to give it a little bit of a treatment with the Whisper White Craft ink. So our Whisper White craft ink is available in the annual catalog. A lot of people don't know that it exists because it's not listed with the other inks. It's sort of in with all of the specialty stuff like the Versamark and your embossing powders. So it comes uninked. The pad comes uninked with a white reinker. So you have to ink it initially. And then when you use it, it gives you sort of an opaque look. So it's a different formulation of ink. Craft ink is almost looks, it's very thick. Almost looks like paint when you're inking your pad. And we used to carry craft ink back in the day. And yes, I still remember this. So tell me if you remember when we carried craft ink in every single one of our colors. You've been around a while, just like I have. But it's cool because it does give an opaque look and you can use it for all sorts of techniques. Now, the tricky part is that it takes a while to dry, which is why craft ink never sold as well as classic ink. Classic ink dries almost instantly, so it's easy to stamp something and then glue it right down and not have to have that wait time. With craft ink, there was a little bit of a drying curve, and that slowed people down, and nobody likes to be slowed down when they're crafting, right? So most of the craft ink went by the wayside, but the white stuck around because we can do cool things like this and distress and whitewash and do all kinds of neat things. So does anybody remember when we carried craft ink in every single color? Any of you guys remember that? Some of you do. I know you do. I know some of you have been stamping for a while. Oh, Jen still has some craft ink. Awesome. Debbie remembers them. Yep. Yeah, it was cool stuff. It just didn't sell very well because it took too long to dry. Okay, so there we go. We have our whitewashed wood grain DSP. So we'll put the white craft ink away. And we're going to just set that aside for a few minutes and we're going to build some tulips. Now, I have done a lot of this ahead of time because there's a fair bit of fussy cutting involved in these. So I didn't want you to have to sit and watch me fussy cut. But I am going to show you a couple of things. So first of all, let me think about this. Okay, we're going to start with our tulips. I need to clean this off because I do not want Puppy Parade right now. I want Crush Curry. So I'm going to give that a clean. And I have just a scrap of Daffodil Delight cardstock. And I'm going to stamp the large tulip, and this is the one that coordinates with the punch. I'm going to stamp the large tulip in Crush Curry ink. So I'm doing a shade darker, and that's going to give me some nice contrast when I stamp this. It was fun to heat emboss. Deb, you are right. You didn't have to have special ink. You could stamp in the craft ink and then heat emboss right away. Hi, Claire. How are you doing? Okay, so I'm inking up my stamp. I'm going to stamp it in the Crush Curry ink just like that. Okay, now I did a little bit of doctoring to these. So this is one that I've done ahead of time, and this is the one I just stamped. Can you see the difference in those images? Does that show? Can you see how this has a little bit more definition and a little bit more highlighting? So I did that using my watercolor pencils. Now, how many of you have watercolor pencils? And how many of you actually use watercolor pencils? I love these things. So I am taking my pumpkin pie watercolor pencil. Now, when you're using these, you want your end to be a little bit dull, okay? My end is not super sharp, okay? And when I sharpen it, I actually will color on it for a little bit to dull it so it's not super pointy, okay? That's the way you get the best results. And I'm just gonna take my pumpkin pie right over top of that stamped image. And I'm going to lightly color and give shadow along the base of the petals. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm taking care not to overlap that highlight bit because we are going to add even more highlight to that in a second. So I'm going to just add that. Oh, you did. You used those before you got the blends. That's awesome. Yeah, I really, really like these. Debbie, I use them a lot, actually. Now, the blends have certainly kind of taken the forefront, mainly because I don't need to use special cardstock or anything with them. But I really do like these. I like the look of them, and I like how easy they are to blend. Okay, so now I have added my pumpkin pie. Then I'm going to bring in my white watercolor pencil, and I'm going to bring out this highlight that highlights the edge of the petal. So I'm just kind of going over that area with my white pencil. I'm not being super careful. I'm going to add a little bit of a highlight to the tips of the petals. Okay, and that just gives my tulip a little bit more dimension and a little bit more interest. Okay, all right, now I'm ready to punch this, and I'll look at that. I didn't even take my own advice. I'm going to waste a whole bunch of yellow cardstock there, but oh well, such is life. I should have listened to myself. Don't do what I just did, okay? So I'm going to pop that tulip out and get rid of that scrap. All right, so I have my 3 tulips, okay? The other ones I did ahead of time. All right, then I have some stems. Now, did I only do 1 stem? Really? I thought I did 2. Oh, yeah, I did. It's still stuck in the bag. There it is. Okay, so I've done 2 stems. I'm going to do 1 more just to show you what it looks like and how I did it. So I have my sort of curved stem here, and I'm going to stamp it. Thanks, Nancy Jo. I like the accent too. It just adds a little bit more to that beautiful, already beautiful stamped image. So I'm going to ink up my curved stem, stamp it on just a scrap. This is a great time to use up your scraps of your strippy bits, you know, those little bits that you trim off, those strips that you have that are like 3/4 or an inch wide. You don't really know what to do with. This is what you do with them. And then again, I'm going to bring in, this time, my old olive pencil, and I'm going to add just a little bit of definition to the stem. Not a lot. Okay. And again, with my white, add just a bit of a highlight. It gives the look of having hand drawn it. Okay. All right, then we're going to fussy cut out our stem, and it doesn't have to be super neat and tidy. I'm just going to kind of come around. Most of the stem is going to be covered up anyway, so I'm not really worrying too much about being super neat. I personally find inside curves easier to cut. I don't know why that is, I just do. All right. Okay, so now we have our stems. So we're going to arrange our stems. Now this one's actually going to go like this because I wanted it to kind of lie across, look like it was lying across the bottom. And then we have another stem here. This one can kind of come, nope, it's going to come this way. Okay. And then this guy is going to kind of come up this way. Okay, so we're just kind of arranging our tulips along that bottom corner like that. Okay, so once you kind of get an idea of where you want them, all I did is I kind of held them in place. This is the easiest way so you don't lose your arrangement. I just kind of bent it back a little bit, added just a titch of Tombow, and stuck it down. Okay, and then we'll move this guy, same thing here. Add a titch of Tombow and stick it down. And then same thing here. Add a titch of Tombow and stick it down. Okay, once you kind of have those in place, then you can go and add some more glue so that they're secure. All right, so I'm going to again go down here, do this bottom one, stick that one down, and then we'll do this middle one, stick that one down, and then the top one here. Just a little bit more here. Now you could certainly do this with glue dots if you wanted to. They are certainly tidier. I just don't like to waste glue dots that way. Okay, then I'm going to take and flip my paper over, and I'm going to cut off the excess stems there. Okay, just like that. Doesn't look like much right now, does it? All right, now we're going to add our tulips. Okay, these are going to get glued flat. So we'll just add a little squiggle of Tombow to the back, and we're going to put one, and then this guy is going to go right about here, like that, and then one more right about here. Hi, Mary Jane, how are you doing? Hey, Sandy, how are you? And then this guy is going to kind of go, oh, I did that on a bit too much of an angle. Can I turn that? Probably not. Oh, well, that's okay. It's not too bad. Whoopsie. Okay. Now we're going to add our leaves. So I've already done a bunch of leaves, but I'm going to do one just to show you how I added the extra accent. So for this one, I'm going to stamp the leaf that coordinates with the punch so that I can punch it out and you don't have to watch me fussy cut again. So again, I'm going to stamp in the Granny Apple Green. And when you're stamping this one, you want to stamp it so that the narrower end of the leaf is towards the top, okay? That's the way the punch is, so it's easy to align. So I'm going to pop that in, or sorry, stamp that first, then pop it into my punch. But first, I'm actually going to add a little bit of shadow and highlight. So I'm going to bring in my Old Olive watercolor pencil first. And I'm just kind of following the veins in the leaf. Just adding a little bit of extra shadow here. Okay, and then again I'm going to come in with my white, and this is going to be the end that is sort of the top of my leaf, so I'm going to add just a bit of highlight there. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to pop this into the punch, and we'll punch that out, and then we'll arrange our leaves. Okay, so these ones are ones that I did ahead of time and fussy cut, okay? These ones don't fit in the punch, but I figured I would do them ahead of time so you guys didn't have to watch me fussy cut for hours on end. So I'm gonna put one here, and then we're gonna put a long one kind of up this way. Again, I like using Tombow whenever I'm arranging because it gives me that little bit of wiggle time to get it exactly where I want it. And then we're going to add one of these guys sort of here. Actually, no, you know what? We're going to put one up here first. No, we'll do this guy. It doesn't matter. And then we're going to add one up this way like that. We'll do that on a bit of less of an angle. So if you like floral arranging, the stamp set and bundle is for you. Hey Jamie, how are you guys doing? Hope you were all well and safe. And then we're going to add this guy just sort of right here. I don't want it to extend too far off the edge because I won't be able to get it in my envelope. All right, so that's going to go right about there. Okay, and again, I'm just going to flip this over and trim off any excess that is extending, specifically on the leaves. Just get rid of those little bits there that are extending over the edge. There we go. Okay, so there are my tulips. Aren't they pretty? So pretty. All right, let's get this out of the way. We are going to stamp our sentiment. So this is a stitched rectangle cut from white, Whisper White cardstock. And I am going to stamp using Early Espresso ink. And I thought it was time to get going on Easter cards. I kind of figure we're probably not going to have your typical Easter this year. So we may be wanting to send some Easter cards because we probably won't be gathering with our families. So I am going to, next week, I am all about Easter, okay? Easter treats, Easter cards, all Easter all week. All right, so I hope you join me for that. But this one, I thought I'd get a head start because I do have some that live long distance and I want to make sure I get them in the mail sooner than later. All right, so this is going to get popped up just in the upper right corner with a couple of dimensionals. Hi, Jill. How are you doing? How are things where you are? Yeah, we got to get them in the mail because even people who do not usually send Easter cards are probably going to be sending Easter cards this year, right? I don't imagine it's going to be a typical Easter given all that's going on in the world. So when I glue this, I kind of had an equal border at the top and the right side there, okay, just so that that looks balanced. All right, now we're ready to glue this onto our card base. So this is a little bit unconventional card base. So this is 4 1/4, but it is only 10 inches long, okay? It's not 11. Hi, Martine, how are you doing? Okay, so this is 4 1/4 by 10. Now I've scored at 5 1/2 down from the top. So 4 1/4 by 10, scored at 5 1/2, and that leaves me with a slightly shorter on one panel, 1/2 of my card. Okay, and that is on purpose. Just a little different fold. So we're going to start by gluing this onto the front of our card, just like that. Okay, so I'll use a bit of Tombow here. Not Tombow, Fast Fuse. Come here. There we go. And we're going to pop that on here. Now, it is easier sometimes to do it without the base when you're doing this particular cut because it's hard to see where the front starts or ends and the back begins, okay? And I think I'll probably be okay with that little guy sticking out there at the end. All right. Oh, you like cloudy days, do you, Jill? I like the sunshine, especially on these when everything on the news is bad news. I like a little bit of bright sunshine to sort of temper that. Okay, so I have a Whisper White panel. This is cut to 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. Okay, so 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. That is going to get glued inside my card like that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. You could certainly stamp a sentiment if you wanted to before gluing that in. I always like to stamp before I glue because if I screw up, it's easier to fix. So we're going to just pop that in right up to, but not overlapping the folds and flush with the edges. Okay, and then I have a 4 1/4 by 1 inch strip of Gingham pattern DSP. So this is from the Bright 6x6 DSP pack. It's going to get glued right flush with my white panel, and it's going to fill in that extra space. And because we cut our card front a little bit smaller than normal, it's going to show. See, we're going to get that cute little gingham border there. Now, I added an extra little bit of something. I love, in fact, you can see I don't have much left. This is our braided linen trim. And I added just a little touch. So I don't like tying ribbon around and actually tying it while it's flat on the card. I find that really difficult. So I kind of have a cheater way to do it. So I'm going to put a glue dot on one end and I'm just going to stick that down. I'm going to use the squares on my gingham to help me get this straight. And I'm going to bring this around the back of the card and just line that up so that it just butts up to where I started. So right about there. Whoop. And then I'm going to add another glue dot to stick that down. Okay, so that that's straight. Again, use the squares on the gingham to make sure that that is straight and they line up. Okay. Just like that. And then we're going to tie a bow. It's about time for a bow tying lesson. Good thing I have just enough left to tie a bow. All right, so we're going to take our ribbon between our thumb and index finger and pinch to make 2 bunny ears. Okay. I'm going to take my left loop, my left bunny ear, cross it over the right, and bring it through and pull. And there is my quick and easy, no muss, no fuss bow. And for this one, I wanted to make a pretty big bow. I love this stuff so much, so I tend to be quite generous with it when I'm making my bows. And then I'm going to adhere that right over top at the spot where the join is, and no one will ever know, except all of you who are watching, that I didn't wrap it around and tie it. Okay, it's a really subtle little way of not bothering with wrapping it around and trying to tie it. Okay, there we go. Now, of course, we're not done. No card is complete without a little bit of wink. All right. Hey, Julie, how are you? All right, I need to crease this a little bit further so it lies flatter. There we go. And now we are going to do our winky, winky, flicky, flicky technique. That's official. Did you know that? That's the official name for it. So I'm going to take off the lid for my wink, and I am just going to flick it against my lid. And I get this spatter effect, a beautiful shimmer all over my card. And I love the shimmer with the sort of rustic look. I think that's a really cool effect. Okay, there we go. Not quite as simple as it looks because of the extra couple of steps to do the distressing and the shading on the stamped images, but I really, really like it. Very happy card. Those are going to be heading out very soon. So that people get them in time for Easter. All right, moving on to card number 3. This one I love. I love the bright colors in it. It's just such a happy, happy, cheery card. And I used a color that I probably have not used in, probably, I couldn't even tell you, maybe 4 years, 5 years. And that is Pacific Point. I don't have no idea why I never use this color. I just don't. It's just not one I reach for. And it's such a happy color, especially with the Gingham DSP. So we are going to put this one together. Again, I've done a lot of the stamping and fussy cutting ahead of time, so you guys don't have to sit and watch me painfully fussy cut. Not that I don't like fussy cutting, but I'm sure you have better things to do than sit and watch me cut. So I am going to do a little bit of stamping first, and then we will assemble. So all I did to stamp my tulips, again, I need to clean my stamp so I'm in the right color. I used the smallest tulip from the set, and I stamped in Melon Mambo ink on Flirty Flamingo cardstock. Okay. You don't even have that color. It is a beautiful color, Deb. Like I said, I have no idea why I don't use it more. Having used it to make this card, I have rediscovered it, and it's like getting a whole new color. It's like when we get the new ink colors, I get very excited about having new colors to work with. So I'm going to have to be relying on my Pacific Point a little bit more. All right, so again, I stamped the small tulip in Melon Mambo on Flirty Flamingo cardstock, and then I'm gonna fussy cut it out. Now, for these guys, I actually cut right up to the stamp line. When you punch, you'll notice that there is a little bit of a border around your image. That is just the way the punch is aligned. It's supposed to be that way. So when I am fussy cutting images that I've also on cards that I've also used the punch, I tend to leave a little bit of a border on all of the images so that it's consistent. Okay. This one I'm only using these little guys. I'm not using anything from the punch, so I'm not really worrying too much about that. Okay. Then I'm also going to stamp my small leaf. Again, in the Granny Apple Green. Granny Apple Green is just the happy, happy spring color to me. I love this green. One of my favorite times of year is spring, when the grass is like, it's all new growth grass and it hasn't been cut yet. So it's the first, like the first blades of grass that come up after the winter. That shade of green, I think, is my very favorite shade ever. And this Granny Apple is very close to it, I think. So that's why I love it so much. So I've stamped that leaf in Granny Apple Green on Granny Apple Green, and that's the effect you get. So again, I'm just going to bring in my snips, and again, I'm cutting right up to the edge of the stamp, or stamp image rather, not the stamp itself. And these are so easy to fussy cut. Like, honestly, you guys, you could totally get by without the punch on this one, but you want the punch because it's awesome. Okay, so there are all of my leaves and my petals. So let's build our background first. So here I have a Whisper White piece of cardstock. It is 4 by 5¼ inches, and I've embossed it using the basket weave embossing folder. Okay, again, reminds me of spring Easter baskets and whatnot. This is a piece of the Pacific Point gingham pattern from the 6x6 Brights family color pack. I cut a rectangle to 4 by 5¼ and then I just cut from corner to corner on the diagonal. So I got 2 cards out of the one 4 by 5¼ inch piece. Okay. Now before I glue this on, I have my magical favorite little stitch scallop border. Now you're going to notice when I go to glue this on, to see how it's not long enough. That's as long as the die is. So we're going to work a little magic. We're going to actually cut this in half, and we're going to run a bit of fast fuse along the edge of our diagonal. And I'm going to start down at the bottom, and I'm going to glue that bottom half on just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to come up to the top and do the same thing. Right up to the corner, making sure I cover right up to the corner. Okay, then I'm going to trim off this excess, just like that. Same thing down here. Okay, and then I can glue this onto my embossed panel. This little gap here is going to get hidden when I put my focal image on it. Okay, so there's a little tip for you on how to extend that scallop. Okay, you just cut it in the middle and make sure you hide the space. Okay, all right, so we're going to add a bit of fast fuse to this guy. Come here, you. And we are going to glue this right onto our embossed panel. So right flush to the edge. just like that. And then again, you're going to want to trim just right along the edge there so you get a nice, neat corner with your scallop. Okay, there you go, nice and tidy. Okay, all right, so now we are ready to glue that right onto our card base. So this is a, again, piece of Pacific Point cardstock. It's cut to 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. And we're gonna fold in half along our score line. Now I found this card base in my file. I have a file folder for each color that I keep my scraps in, and I found this. I have no idea how long it's been in there, but I didn't have to cut one. It was ready to go. All right, so I'm gonna glue that on, centered. Let's grab a bit of Fast Fuse here. You like that idea, do you, Joe? I thought it was rather ingenious, if I do say so myself. All right, so we're gonna pop this on just like that. Oh, and see, I didn't get it right flush. This is what happens when I do white on white. I have a real problem seeing white on white anymore. That's not too noticeable. I can live with that. Okay, so we'll set this aside and we are going to build our focal image. So here I have 2 of these sort of loopy labels, for lack of a better term. They are from the Painted Labels dies. Okay, I cut one from Granny Apple Green and one from Whisper White. So we're going to start by stamping our sentiment on the Whisper White. And look at that, I forgot the Pacific Point ink. Come here, you. And there it is. Again, this ink pad is like almost new. I can't remember the last time it got used. All right, so I love this sentiment. What a beautiful difference one single life makes. And I think it's really important that we remember that right about now. There are a lot of people that have the attitude that, you know, this virus won't affect them because they're young and they're healthy, and, you know, older people have lived their lives, and, you know, we shouldn't be taking care of them. And I think that's an absolutely wrong way to think. Every single life matters, and every single life is beautiful. So I think it's important that we do all that we can to protect everyone in our society. Okay, so I have stamped. Isn't that a beautiful? I just love it. I love the font, and that color is just awesome. So we're going to go ahead and layer that now. And I want to make sure that when I layer this, I offset it. So I'm going to add a little bit of Tombow. And I want to make sure that this doesn't line up, okay? So just see how that's the way it lines up. So I'm going to purposely offset it because I want to see that green peeking out from behind the white. Okay, just like that. And then we are going to arrange all of our tulips. So first of all, I have these sort of branches. So I'm kind of making a spray, right? A floral spray. So these are from the Cherry Blossom stamp set. Thanks, Debbie. I think everyone's important too. I have elderly parents who are, you know, they live in a pretty isolated area, which is good. I've never been happy that they live so far away, but right now I'm thankful that they live where they do and I don't have to worry about them. Okay, so I've got this spray. I'm going to cut it in half to glue this on. We're going to cut off a little bit more of that. We're going to stick it down right on there. Okay, I'm just going to use a glue dot for that, just in the interest of being quick and efficient. And then this guy is going to come out the other way, and I can probably use that same glue dot to stick it down. Okay, then I have a couple more. These I already cut in half, but we're going to trim off a little bit more. These ones I'm actually going to tuck in behind and be peeking out from behind. And I'm actually going to do the 3-pronged one on this side and the 2-pronged on this side, just for some variety. So we're going to add a glue dot here, and we're just going to tuck that in like that. Okay, and then I'm going to trim this bit off. And we're going to add that one like that. Okay, there is the start of our spray. Now we are going to add our leaves. Okay, now I like the narrower end of the leaf, so I'm going to have that showing on 2 of the leaves, kind of going, whoops, this way and this way, and then I'm going to have the shorter end or the wider end in the middle like that. Okay, so again, we're just going to glue dot these all into place. This is, again, Floral Arranging 101. Didn't know you were getting a floral arranging lesson. You thought you were coming to watch me stamp today. But I can't help it. I love tulips. Tulips are my very, very favorite spring flower. I love them. I cannot wait to see them They're happy little blooms in my garden. How many of you are tulip fans? Do you guys like tulips? What's your favorite spring flower? You should leave a comment and tell me what your favorite spring flower is while I'm gluing, because, you know, it's kind of boring to watch me put glue dots on all of these things. So let's talk about something else. Okay, we're going to add this one here. One more. It's going to go down here. We'll add that right about there. Okay, so there, I'm building my spray out. Okay, now I'm going to add my tulips. So I'm going to add 1 and 2, and then the third one I'm going to pop up on each side. Okay, so again, this time I think I'm actually going to use a bit of Tombow, just so these are a little bit more secure. Get rid of that bit of white. So we'll do 1. And Iris, Snapdragon. Oh, I love Snapdragons too, Jill. Iris, Heather, my mom had the most beautiful iris gardens when I was a kid growing up. She, like, the entire, we had a sort of U drive because we had a corner lot out in the country. So we had a really long U drive, and all the full length of the U drive was an iris garden in the springtime, and they were so beautiful. Okay, so there's one side, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So add just a little squiggle of Tombow. And we'll add 1 here. And we're going to add 1 here. We'll put that up just a bit further. And then we're going to add a dimensional. I also really love hyacinth. That's another spring flower that I really, really enjoy. Okay. And then the last little touch is to add some punch sprigs. So these are punched from Daffodil Delight cardstock using the sprig punch, which is in the annual catalog. And we're just going to add, just for a little bit of contrast and a little bit more interest, we're going to add those in behind there. They do have gorgeous tulips. Oh, have you seen some of them with the variegated color is just absolutely stunning. There's some gorgeous, gorgeous varieties of tulips now. Okay, we are ready to put that right onto the front of our card. We're going to hide that scalloped border where it joins. Okay, that's going to go on just like that. And I think we're going to use a couple of dimensionals again. Just because of everything we've got on the back of that, it won't lie flat if we try to glue it flat. So we'll just give in and twist my rubber arm and pop it up, because why not? That's going to go on right about there. Okay, and then the last touch is a little polka dot tulle bow. I have already tied this one. Again, this was left over from another class. So we will pop this on just tucked in the bottom like that. Isn't that cute? Now, of course, I can't leave well enough alone. I have to add just a little bit of sparkle to this one because, well, why not, right? When in doubt, wink it up. Oh, beautiful. Fernleaf peonies. Wow, Deb. I would love to see those. Peonies, honestly, spring flowers are my jam. I love spring flowers. They are just... Maybe it's because we have such long, cold winters here. I just appreciate every bit of color and new life in the springtime. All right, we are done. Let me just bring back all of our projects, clean up some of my mess here, so you can see them all together one last time. There we go, all 3. Pretty, 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 happy, happy, happy. Now, I love this set so much, and since I have a lot of time on my hands these days, as many of us do, I am going to do another video this Friday night. So I am going to do some simple stamping again. I kind of like the idea of showing you some stepped up cards and then showing you some simple cards using just the stamp sets. Okay? Oh, you like those? I'm so glad, Martine. All of these cards make me happy. I love bright colors in the springtime, and yeah, makes me happy. Okay, so these are today's cards. On Friday, I'm going to be demonstrating some simple stamping cards. I'm just going to give you a quick little sneak peek. So ways to use this stamp set, just the stamp set, without the punch. Okay, so we are going to make these on Friday. I will be live at 7:30 on Friday evening, and I will take you through step by step how to make these guys with just stamps, ink, and paper. Okay? All right, everyone. Hi, Gail. Bye, Gail. I was just about to sign off. I hope you watch the replay. Okay, everybody, that's it for me for now. I will see you again on Friday evening. In the meantime, stay well, stay safe, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.